This recipe is for gingerbread, so it will be a cake that you can cut up and eat as a cake, or if you keep it, it will go sticky on the top like the Jamaican ginger cake that you can buy in the shops, and you could have it hot with custard. So the first thing I'm going to do is line my tin ready, because there's a lot of sugar in this mixture. So I'm using a deep oblong cake tin, and what I'm going to do is just scrunch the paper into the corners, and you can see when I do that we have lots of creases in the paper, which I don't want, because that will cook into the cake and ruin the edges of the cake. So if you carefully lift the paper out and cut diagonally into the four corners that you could see where your paper was at the bottom of the tin, when you then put that back into the tin again, you can wrap the paper around the corners, and it should not cook into your cake in the same way. So you've got, there we go, the bottom and the sides of the tin are much smoother. So I'm just going to move that to one side and get the rest of the ingredients ready. So the next ingredient that I need to deal with is the syrup and the treacle. So this recipe calls for golden syrup and black treacle, and I'm just wiping the cans because I had these sat in hot water for a little while, which makes them runny, or a little bit runnier and easier to measure. So I'm just going to put my saucepan straight onto the scales, because I find it easier to measure into the saucepan, and I just need to change it back to grams. There we go. And you need 150 grams of black treacle and just 50 grams of golden syrup. So I have a knife that I use to measure my butter with, and I'm just going to measure the treacle. So 150 grams of black treacle into the saucepan, and it is easier to put it straight into the saucepan if you can, because it will just save on washing up. If you can't do that, you will need to measure it separately, obviously, and try and make sure that you can scrape all of your syrup and treacle into the saucepan. Black treacle has a really strong smell and flavour, but in this recipe for gingerbread, that's a good thing, because the colour of it will help to give colour to your gingerbread, and the ginger itself is strong enough to mask that flavour a little bit. So 150 of treacle, and then just 50 grams of syrup into the pan. There we go. Right, I need to put other ingredients into this saucepan as well, so that I'm ready. So I have 100 grams of butter, which I am going to add to that, and I'm also going to put in 50 grams of soft brown sugar. So in my saucepan I've got syrup, treacle, butter or margarine and soft brown sugar, and before I do anything to that, I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients ready. Okay, so the remaining ingredients that I need for this recipe, I have 150 mils of milk in a measuring jug, and I am going to add 2 eggs into that milk and just mix those together. So I'll just mix those with a fork in a minute so that the egg yolk is broken up, and when I want to add those to the cake mix, it will be one mixture. I won't have to worry about the eggs, and I do like to break the yolks to start with, because when you're whisking eggs and milk together, sometimes you find that the one of your egg yolks hasn't broken and you end up with a whole egg yolk. So 150 mils of milk and 2 eggs, just lightly whisked together there. And I have 200 grams of plain flour. Now, gingerbread is one of the few recipes that actually uses bicarbonate of soda as a raising agent. We don't normally use it on its own because it can be really strong flavoured and it leaves a nasty soapy taste afterwards. However, the flavour of the treacle and the brown sugar and the ginger mean that this is going to be fine. What I don't want is to put too much in. So I've got my spoon and I'm just going to level the top of my spoon with a knife, so I have 1 level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and I'm adding it to the flour before I do anything else. The ginger I'm going to be a little bit more generous with. My teaspoon won't fit in there. I need 2 teaspoons of ginger, so this is my ½ teaspoon measure, and because it's a ginger cake that I'm making, I know that these are not level, but I do like the flavour of ginger, so I'm not so worried about those being level. Bicarb definitely, ginger not so much. And then to round the flavour out a bit, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of mixed spice as well. Now the reason you need to have all of this ready is bicarbonate of soda is the active ingredient in baking powder and self-raising flour. And because I'm using pure bicarbonate of soda, as soon as I add any warm liquid to it, it will start to produce gas. And I want to be ready to go when that happens. So, all of the flours and the bicarb I am now going to put through my sieve. But I've waited until I've got all the things together before I put them in. That way I know that I'm not just sieving the flour with nothing else. So, flour, bicarb, ginger, mixed spice, through your sieve and into a mixing bowl. Okay, everything is ready. I've got the flour ready, I have the eggs and milk, got the dry ingredients, and I have my wet ingredients in the saucepan. These need to be melted over a gentle heat. It's really important, because of the amount of sugar that you've got in here, that you don't boil this. So I'm going to put this over a gentle heat and just start melting it. I want the margarine or butter to melt and the sugar to dissolve into the syrups. Okay, I've melted my sugars and the butter in there, and it's nice and runny. So to finish this off, I'm just going to pour all of that mixture into my flour. It did not boil, really important that it didn't boil, but it is quite warm, obviously, because it's melted the butter and all the syrups together. So I'm just going to stir this together to start with, because what I want to do is use the flour to cool that mixture a little bit, especially if it's been a bit too hot, so that when I add the eggs and milk, the eggs do not start cooking straight away. So it becomes quite a stiff mixture, as you can see, but I have, there we go, that's done, and I've got quite a nice, smooth, thick batter in there. I've now got to get all of the eggs and milk in, and because it is quite thick batter, I'm just going to add my eggs and milk a little bit at a time to start with, until I've managed to thin this mixture down a bit and make it a little bit easier to work with. So a little bit of the eggs and milk, beat that again until you've got Still a smooth but slightly runny mixture. Bit more eggs and milk in, and keep going until all of your eggs and milk are mixed up. When I've managed to get this bit of milk in, egg and milk in, I'm going to use my spatula, go round the bowl, make sure that I don't have any thick bits of batter anywhere in this bowl, and also that I don't just have a thick blob of it on my spoon. So just going to use my spatula, get everything off the spoon, get everything from the sides of the bowl, and then add some more eggs and milk into there until all of your egg and milk is in this one mixture and we've used all of the ingredients. So next bit, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's complete. Okay, I've added all of the milk and egg to this mixture, and just for one last time I'm just going to scrape my spoon off before I tip this into the prepared tin. Go round with the spatula, that's all mixed, and then the whole lot just gets tipped into your prepared tin. And it is a very runny bit mixture, it is a batter, but that is the way it is supposed to be. So just make sure that your mixture has gone all over the tin, all up to the edges, and then this can go into an oven to cook. So it goes into an oven on 160, gas mark for 50 to 60 minutes. And I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can actually see the bubbles of carbon dioxide gas are already being produced by the bicarbonate of soda, so I need to get this in. Okay, the gingerbread has actually been in the oven for 40 minutes, but I could smell that it appeared to be cooking. It is brown, it's risen, it's brown, and if I touch it gently on the top, it is springing back. I can also see, if I lift up the paper, it's actually not stuck to the paper, it's coming away from the paper. So I'm going to leave that just for a couple of minutes in the tin, and then I'm going to take it out and put it on a cooling rack. At the moment, the top is not sticky. You can eat this as it is, you can eat it straight away when it comes out of the oven, but if you want to get that sticky top that you get on the ginger cake that you buy in the shops, what you need to do is have a bit of self-control, and you need to put this into an airtight tin for a few days, up to a week, and when you come back to it you'll find that the top has gone all sticky and it's really lovely.